Well, it's been a fun ride and dream come true, but if this is the direction NASCAR is headed, we will not participate after 2020 season is over. I don't believe in kneeling during anthem nor taking people right to fly whatever flag they love. I could care less about the Confederate flag, but there are people that do, and it doesn't make them a racist. All you are doing is, as you can see there, effing one group to cater to another, and I ain't spend the money we are to participate in any political BS, so everything is for sale. So there's that. Here is Paul Finebaum with us here. And Paul, I know you covered this sport of NASCAR a very long time ago and have been around it for quite some time. How would you describe the significance of this decision yesterday to ban the Confederate flag at NASCAR events?
This is a watershed moment, Greeny, one I didn't think was ever going to happen. And I base that more on the past than what Marty was referring to in relation to contemporary times. When I started covering the sport in the 80s, NASCAR was a segregated sport. In fact, the only place you could perhaps find in the South more segregated than a NASCAR track was a Klan meeting. It was that bad, and there was never any effort to change. I did stories in the 90s interviewing NASCAR officials, those who would even talk, and they had no interest because they had a middle-class white audience they catered to, and appealing to anyone else was verboten to them. They didn't care. They had no interest in it whatsoever. The sport has evolved. What I think happened yesterday was a reaction. It was an intelligent reaction by new leadership in NASCAR, the grandchildren of those who I think look the other way, and it's a positive statement. What it will mean, I'm not really sure. I still think you'll see Confederate flags. I don't think law enforcement are going to want to encounter. But from a symbolic standpoint, it's perhaps the most important statement I have seen from NASCAR in my lifetime.
Radio talk shows are one of, to me, the most interesting places to gauge people's reaction to things. You host one of the most popular sports talk shows in the country, and it is right there in the southeast part of the country where this is obviously such an incredibly important sport. What were your callers saying yesterday?
The story broke toward the end of the show. There was a little pushback late, and I expect more today. Southerners aren't in for political correctness in their mind. This is more than political correctness, Greeny. This is a social movement that has been long overdue and incredibly necessary. So I think you'll see more of what we saw from the truck driver, the truck racer a minute ago in that statement. NASCAR's in trouble anyway. The ratings and the attendance for the sport have been declining, and primarily because the sport has expanded. It's tried to go to Chicago. It's tried to go to Vegas. It's tried to get outside the Rockingham, Darlington, Talladega circle that it was built off of. And I think the sport will continue to struggle because of this and because of a resistance from its core audience.
I can't ask you to speak for everyone, but Marty Smith, I thought, said something in my conversation with him earlier that I really liked. He said, for people who will push back on this, the response maybe is, NASCAR is not trying to close the door on you or anyone. They're trying to open it to everyone. Do you think that is a message that will be taken by the people you're talking about?
Sadly, no, I don't. And you know, Marty's much closer to the sport today than I am. Or maybe I just have too many uncomfortable memories of going to NASCAR events and seeing that flag and hearing the N-word thrown around by people in the infield and the grandstand as if it were just another phrase talking about who was going to take the checkered flag. We live in a different world in 2020, but I still don't think NASCAR, outside of this statement, has really tried to be that inclusive, and I don't think a lot of people are going to gravitate or migrate to the sport because of what the governing body announced yesterday.
For those of you who weren't with us earlier, Damian Woody, who grew up right near the racetrack in Richmond, talked about how important this was to him, that he attended NASCAR races as a child, and seeing those flags and the way that it made him feel and just what a big day this was for him yesterday. It's a very important story. Paul, thank you. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.